I'm at Elk Landing in Maryland, so northeast corner of Maryland in Cecil County, just outside the town of now Elkton. As you can see from this narrow, shallow, muddy tract of water here, this is not exactly the place to bring a large ship, and it's for that reason that on the night of 25th of August 1777, it's around 3 in the morning, and this is where some of the smaller ships of the British fleet, at this point in the Revolutionary War, commanded by Admiral Richard Howe, known as Black Dick, on account of his temper. Some of the smaller ships of the fleet made their way as far up this river as they could. They'd come up the Chesapeake Bay, a fleet of 267 ships all told, ranging from ships of the line, so those big buggers like HMS Victory with multiple gun decks, to smaller frigates with single gun decks, 32 gunners, etc., down to small brigantine schooner-sized vessels that could get up some of these river inlets. The ships were carrying an army of approximately 15,000 troops, with a logistics train of about 5,000 civilians, so teamsters, cooks, etc. So 20,000 all told, with an artillery train, an ammunition and baggage train, a small number of cavalry, and carried this army all the way from New York, all down the New Jersey shore, down the Delaware shore, turned into the Chesapeake Bay, and come all the way to the top of the Chesapeake Bay. The larger ships would anchor off of Turkey Point, where Turkey Point Light now stands, because that's about as far as those large ships could come, and start unloading troops and material there. But the army, under the command of General William Howe, so that's the Admiral's brother, one brother commanding the naval force and one brother commanding the army force, General William Howe wanted to unload troops as far up the river as he could, so the smaller ships sailed up the river. There's not a lot of room to manoeuvre. If this had been an opposed landing, it would have been a very difficult and bloody operation to get troops ashore here. Luckily for the Howe brothers, it was not an opposed landing. The Maryland militia, perhaps wisely, stayed away in an observational role, surveying the landing, counting the numbers, reporting that information to George Washington, who was moving south with the Continental Army to deal with this threat to Philadelphia. The Continental Navy, as such, had nothing in this area. There were some small gunboats in the Delaware River, which, if I kept walking this way, is only like 20 miles across by land. But by sea, you have to go down the Chesapeake Bay, back up the coast of Maryland and Delaware, into the Delaware River, and then all the way up the Delaware River. Today it's linked by a canal, which allows cargo ships to pass from the Chesapeake Bay to the Delaware River. Back then there was no canal. You could make the journey by land, but if you were in ships, you had to go all the way around, a long way around, and that could take you multiple days. So, there being gunboats in the Delaware River, so like we're talking about small, just really large style rowboats that could either be rowed out, or you could fit a small sail to them, have one light cannon mounted in the bow. The idea was that if the British were trying to land troops, you'd come out very quickly from an inlet, fire your cannon, and then get back in the inlet as quickly as you could before a British ship could reply with large cannon return of fire. The Americans also had plans to send fire ships or fire rafts into the British fleet, but all these defences have been concentrated on the Delaware River. It would have been a more logical approach for the Howe brothers to have come down the New Jersey coast as they were coming from New York. They embarked the army at Staten Island. It would have been a much easier prospect for them to come down the New Jersey coast, turn at the Jersey Cape at Cape May, come up the Delaware River. It would have been a more direct route, shorter time at sea, as it was coming up the Chesapeake Bay. The ships had set sail 20th of July, didn't reach here until the 25th of August. They'd spent 36 days, I believe, at sea. Some of the men had been on board for 48 days, having commenced loading on July the 6th. So they were in a terrible physical state by the time they got here. It would have been much more sensible for the Howe brothers to have gone up the Delaware River, but that would have meant that they had to engage with Fort Mifflin and Fort Mercer, south of Philadelphia, which were batteries to protect Philadelphia from the naval approach up the Delaware River. There were also some additional batteries being emplaced in that period. There were gunboats in the river. There were the fire barges in the river. And they also had put in chevaux de frise in the sunk obstacles in the river, in the navigable course. There were gaps that were known to local pilots, but the British trying to navigate up that river would have run into all sorts of obstacles. It would have been a running fight for the Navy, and then it would have probably been an opposed landing, which is why the Howes chose this circuitous route to come up via the Chesapeake Bay, and hopefully they thought land in the rear of Washington's army and be able to march very quickly and capture Philadelphia. And so this is where we are. We are at Elkton, in northeast corner of Maryland, close to the Delaware line. In fact, Elkton is almost on the Delaware line. You can get to it very easily from US 40. You can also pull off of an exit at Interstate 95, but you've got to come inland a little bit. So there's not much going on in Elkton itself as a town. It's a county seat, has a county courthouse, sheriff's office, county detention centre, some offices. It's really, and a hospital of variable quality, and that's really about it. There's not a lot significant going on in Elkton itself. But around Elkton there are some interesting sites regarding the Revolutionary War, particularly these landing sites for the Philadelphia campaign of 1777. This site here at Elk Landing was also a site of a fort, or a small earthwork emplacement, and a gun battery emplaced in the War of 1812 to prevent the British from raiding this far up the Chesapeake Bay in the War of 1812. There are other historical sites around here, such as Chad's Ford, just across the Delaware border. First engagement, battle at Chad's Ford, first engagement of the Philadelphia campaign. And then you can move up to Kennett Square, Brandywine, follow the course of that 1777 campaign. So there are some historical sites around here that are worth looking at. You can also break across by crossing over the Chesapeake and Delaware Canal and Bohemia River and Sassafras River, get into Kent County, Maryland, get down to Chestertown, historic city. There's some lovely historical district down there, and some links to the Revolutionary War with the Chestertown resolves of 1774, Chestertown Tea Party. There's also some strong connections to Civil War history down there. It was a site for recruiting US coloured troops during the Civil War. So 400 black volunteers, black American volunteers for the Union Army came from that Chestertown region. So there are some additional monuments down there to the Rev War, War of 1812, Civil War, US coloured troops, African American memorial specifically. So Chestertown's some great places to check out. So some of these sleepy towns along the Chesapeake Bay, they don't sound like they're going to be that promising from a history point of view, but there's a lot of Rev War, War of 1812, Civil War history throughout this area. So if you're in this area, do come and play some of these places visits. If you're looking for somewhere interesting to visit with a Revolutionary War connection or a Civil War connection, send me a message, drop me a message, send me an email, walkingtheground@gmail.com, or hit me up on the Facebook page, facebook.com/walkingtheground. It's got other links on there. You can like direct message me and WhatsApp me and all that stuff from that Facebook page. So like, send me a message, say, hey, I'm going to be in such and such area. I'd like to show my kids or my family a Civil War site or a Revolutionary War site, something interesting. What ideas do you have? And be happy to pass some along, some places you can visit. Also places nearby that are good to get some refreshments from. There's some great places to eat around here because we're on the bay, so a lot of good seafood, particularly if you like Maryland crab or rockfish from the Chesapeake Bay, but other good things to eat around here as well. Maryland chicken, famous Maryland fried chicken recipes. So lots of things to do around here, lots of good places to eat. Just drop me a message and I'll be happy to share that information with you. So I did a live stream from here earlier today. I've been doing some lunchtime tour series, 30 to 45 minute talks around the lunch hour. So if someone's trapped at their desk and doesn't really have the opportunity to schedule some historical content in the evening, or when I've provided other tours online, I'm just doing some short lunchtime things so you can grab a sandwich, grab yourself a coffee, sit at your desk, sit at your home office, and tune in, and we'll talk about a little bit of history from either a battlefield or a historic site like this at Elk Landing for like 30 to 45 minutes or so, something just sort of like small for the lunch hour. So we've been doing some tests of those. We did one today here from Elk Landing. We've got a couple coming up, one from Gettysburg, where we're going to be on Benner's Hill talking about artillery engagement with Latimer's battery. He's the boy major, the 19 years old major in command of an artillery battery at the Battle of Gettysburg. So that's an interesting story. We'll be able to talk about that at a lunchtime tour, and we're also going to be out at Antietam. I'm at Antietam for a private tour, but once that's concluded, actually it's in the afternoon, so before that's concluded, before I get into the private tour at Antietam, I'm doing a lunchtime little 30-minute chat from the memorial for New York regiment, one of the New York regiments that fought there that day, Hawkins Zouaves. So we're going to be talking about the action of one solitary regiment in that wider battle at Antietam, tell a micro-history of that for like 30-45 minutes, chat about their fight there. They took, I think, 232 casualties, so quite heavy fighting and quite heavy losses in one infantry regiment there. So that's what we're trying to do with these little lunchtime talks. There's also some battlefield Kaffeeklatsch. Exercise my O-level German. Sorry, Mr. Strickland, that's been 40 years. But anyway, so when we're on the battlefield, and I've done a private tour or a group tour on the battlefield, and I've got time in the afternoon where it's like, well, I don't have anything else to do this afternoon other than walk around the battlefield myself and take a few photos and visit a few of my favourite places. What I'm going to do is, on those afternoons, is make myself a good strong cup of battlefield coffee. If you've seen me before with my 32-ounce tin mug, my reenacting mug from Civil War reenacting, then you'll have seen that giant coffee cup. Fill that up with coffee, fire up the live stream, and do a little talk about where I've been on the battlefield that day or where I've headed to that day. I might head out just to a favourite site and just talk a little bit about what part of the battlefield we're on, some stuff that happened like 160 years ago today or 158 years ago today, or some, on this day in history stuff, and just have like a little coffee break on the battlefield and a little history chat on the battlefield. So trying to find, as well as the big tour stuff that we do, if you're interested in private tours or group tours at some of these places, planning some walking tours in Fredericksburg, Virginia. So for the Battle of Fredericksburg, we'll be doing some walking tours there. We're planning some additional tours around Antietam and the Antietam area, perhaps up on South Mountain. And of course I'll be doing the free live streams from Gettysburg. All of my Gettysburg content is free. I do not charge for Gettysburg content. That just happens to be, I've got a day where I can be out on the battlefield, I can go to a specific point, I can talk about something on the battlefield at Gettysburg. I enjoy being there. If you want to take a tour at Gettysburg, you need to take a tour with one of the licensed battlefield guides. Those people have phenomenal knowledge of the battle and very experienced guides. That's their bailiwick. I don't intrude upon that at all. So when I go out, I'm just going out as me as an individual. And if some of you are like, well, you know, I'd like to see something from Gettysburg, I'm never going to be able to get out there in person, or I haven't been there in 20 years, or I haven't been there in a while with my kids, so I'd like to see something from Gettysburg, then when I'm out at Gettysburg, walking around, I do like a little live stream tour, share that content with you free of charge, and in no way undercut the tour guides who do very good macro tours and also can do a very good individual tour. So if you're from, I don't know, Maine, you're a tourist from Maine, you're visiting Gettysburg and you want to hear some Maine stories, they'll be like, sure, we'll take you up to the Round Top and do the 20th Maine story, but let's take you out on the first day of battle, let's take you out to the right of the Union line and talk about the 16th Maine, the bloody 16th, or let's take you down the Peach Orchard and talk about the 3rd Maine in the Peach Orchard. So you tell that battlefield guide what you're interested in and they will key their talk into exactly what you want to learn. So phenomenal resource. Go to the visitor centre at Gettysburg, hook yourself up with a licensed battlefield tour guide. Me, I'm just out on the battlefield wandering around enjoying myself, chatting to the camera, so that's what we enjoy doing. So we have some additional tours coming up. As I said, we've got now that we are mask free, double vaccinated in this hopefully post-COVID era, we've been moving away from doing live stream tours back to doing in-person tours, so we can do in-person tours like the walking tour at Fredericksburg, which I'm looking forward to being able to get back into face-to-face touring with people. I am double vaccinated. If you're all vaccinated as well, then we don't need to wear masks. Of course, if you would prefer, if I'm giving you a tour, if you would prefer that I wore a mask during the tour, totally okay with that as well. Whatever makes you feel more comfortable, I'm totally okay with. So anyway, if you're interested in private tours or group tours, let me know. We're doing a little bit of a reconnaissance this summer, taking a cross-country road trip, trying to hit up some locations from the Western Theatre in the Civil War for potential future trips and potential future guide trips, and also back at the car, also some Indian War sites as well. So that's not something we've delved into, but it's something that people have expressed an interest in, is tours of or content from Indian War sites. And so we're going to see if we can reconnoitre some of those, and once we put that recce in, that we'll see what we can develop as tour content for those sites as well. So stay tuned for those. I'm looking forward to that. But as I say, if you would like join one of the in-person tours at Fredericksburg or Antietam or some of the other locations that I will be holding tours at, then let me know. We can do individual tours like small family groups, individual tours. We can do larger group tours if you prefer. So I'm always available for that. You can contact me at walkingtheground@gmail.com or via the Facebook page, facebook.com/walkingtheground. And of course you've got all the options and the buttons to hit on there for direct message me or WhatsApp me, or just post a message to the Facebook page itself. That's a good way to get in touch with me. Also a good way to look at previous content. And then of course we're uploading these videos as well as to Facebook. We're uploading the videos to YouTube as well, so there's a YouTube reference. So those of you who do not like Facebook, and I know a lot of people don't like Facebook, I'm also over on YouTube for those of you who don't like Facebook but are okay with the Google Corporation. We seem to be a handful of corporations control most of the tech, so we are kind of like beholden to them, but that's an alternative. If you don't like Facebook, then I'm over on YouTube as well. So those are the tours that are coming up. If you are interested in any of those or anything that we have on offer, just let me know, ask me a question. I'm always here to answer questions, so you know, if you've got some question that you would like to ask me about the content that I've been providing, or a comment on that, or you have a student in your family that's taking, I don't know, AP US History, and they've got a question, then let me know, and I can see if I can find some information that will help them out with a primary source, or come out to a location for you. And you know, if I happen to be in the area, I'm more than happy to provide information for you as well. I am available for AP US History tutoring. If you have a student that's interested in that, you can also let me know via the email or the Facebook page that you have a student that's interested in AP US History tutoring. As you can see, I'm dressed in colonial blue today because I was doing Rev War. Colonial blue, but my English camo hat. So that's the that's me, dual citizen and split loyalties, I guess. But so I hope you've enjoyed the day. I hope you enjoy the live stream content that we put out. Some of the stuff that we upload to YouTube. Follow me on Twitter. I also update on Twitter. I do have a TikTok channel, but that can get a little bit, what's the word we're looking for? Profane with the language. TikTok is an adult place. Your kids should not be on TikTok. That's a place for grown-ups. And but if you want to see me rant and rave about Nathan Bedford Forrest and what I think of him, then TikTok's the place to go for that. Other than that, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoy the content. I hope you enjoy the social media feeds. If you have any questions, let me know. If you appreciate my content, like the Facebook page, follow me on Twitter. Just drop me a comment and say, hey, I really liked what you did today with the Rev War thing, or I really liked the thing from Pickett's Charge last week, or I'm really looking forward to your thing from Antietam because, you know, I had a relative that's from New York and fought in the Civil War. So, you know, I appreciate those messages. I do appreciate the feedback. If you have criticism, please also let me know, because I'm continually looking for feedback on, you know, if I'm doing something that is annoying you, then I would like to know that I'm annoying you so I don't continue to annoy you and I can stop doing that. So please let me know. Positive and negative feedback is appreciated. If you really like what I do, I'm on coffee.com. You can find me at coffee.com/walkingtheground. And if you want to donate $3 to me so I can buy myself a coffee, and I will literally buy myself a coffee. I don't have a $10 a month Patreon, and I don't sell $20 content online, and I don't have ticketing for online content either. So everything I do online is free of charge, and will continue to be free of charge. But if you like what I do and you want to buy me a coffee, I'd love a cup of coffee. It's what keeps me charged and going during the day. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching the video. I will see you around. I will see you on all the upcoming tours, all the upcoming live events, and hopefully I'll see some of you in person on private tours and group tours, and I really look forward to meeting you. Thank you.